We're marching today to dramatize to the nation, dramatize to the world, that hundreds and thousands of Negro citizens of Alabama, but particularly here in the Blight Belt area, denied the right to vote.
I'm Rodney Wittenberg, producer of We Stood Up, Reflections of the Civil Rights Era. On Sunday, March 7, 1965, John Lewis led a group of 600 civil rights marchers across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in support of voting rights for people of color. Here, civil rights leader and former UN ambassador Andrew Young shares a part of that story you might not know.
When Bloody Sunday, the march from Selma to Montgomery, when that occurred and people were all gathered around the television set, because I think somebody was showing the judgment at Nuremberg about the Nazis killing Jewish people.
What about the rest of the world? Did it not know the intentions of the Third Reich? Did it not hear the words of Hitler's broadcast all over the world? Did it not read his intentions in Mein Kampf, published in every corner of the world? Where's the responsibility of the Soviet Union, who signed in 1939 the pact with Hitler, enabled him to make war? Are we now to find Russia guilty? Where's the responsibility of the Vatican, who signed in 1933 the Concordat with Hitler, giving him his first tremendous prestige? Are we now to find...
When they cut to Selma, the two things looked almost as bad as one looked almost as bad as the other, and people said that can't be going on in America. See?
Many Americans were outraged by what they saw on the broadcast that evening. Over the next couple of weeks, support for the civil rights movement grew. On Sunday, March 21st, 1965, over 3,500 people joined Martin Luther King and John Lewis as they then, again, crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And this time, the world was watching.
This time, there is no violence. The 1,000 Negroes and 400 white ministers and civil rights workers reach the end of the bridge where the cordon of troopers stand. They are ordered to turn back. Dr. King confers with the police as the marchers hold their ground. He requests that they be allowed to pray. There are a few minutes of mounting tension. A request to pray is granted, and they kneel in the streets. Informants say that Dr. King turned his marchers at the behest of the White House, an arrangement that had been made in advance to avoid a confrontation that could only end in bloodshed. The troops and deputies stand stolidly by as the prayers are said and the marchers go back to Selma. This Alabama town will go down in the history books as a turning point in the civil rights drive. From the halls of Congress to the smallest crossroads hamlet, people can understand the plea that no American can have freedom and justice unless there is freedom and justice for all.
John Lewis said what gave him courage was love. And that kind of love can be infectious and spread around the world, but only if you have the courage to turn that love into action. Here's John Lewis.
We as a group and as an individual, I have been deeply inspired by the teaching of Gandhi, by the teaching of Martin Luther King Jr., by Thoreau and civil disobedience. We studied the great religions of the world, and we were ready. We were ready to accept the way of peace, the way of love, the way of nonviolence, as a way of life, as a way of living. So we were saying, in effect, beat me, arrest me, throw me in jail. I'm going to still love you. Our goal was to create what we call a community at peace with itself. That we felt, as Dr. King had taught us, that hate was too heavy a burden to bear. So people could put lighted cigarettes out in our hair, down our backs, spit on us. We were going to still adhere to the way of peace, to the way of love, the way of nonviolence. I never, ever dreamed of hating someone or putting someone down because of their race, their color, or what they did to me or what they said to me. The way of love is a much better way.
I'm gonna take that anger and write it down. March into town, can you hear the sound? I'm gonna take that anger and turn it around and turn it into love. I'm gonna take that doubt and write it down. March into town, can you hear the sound? I'm gonna take that doubt and turn it around and turn it into love. Love, 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 love. Turn it all into love. Love, 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 love. Turn it all into love. I'm gonna take that mistreatment and write it down. March into town, can you hear the sound? I'm gonna take that mistreatment and turn it around and turn it into love. I'm gonna take that fear and write it down. March into town, can you hear the sound? I'm gonna take that fear and turn it around and turn it into love. Love, 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 love. Turn it all into love. Love, 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 love. Turn it all into love. Love, 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 love. Turn it all into love. Love, 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 love. Turn it all into love. She said,